The conversation around the Bears right now starts with the growth of their quarterback and how intentional he has been about addressing the details of his game, from footwork to timing. The focus is clearly on syncing up with his receivers throughout the offseason so that everything feels natural once training camp arrives. The mindset is not about easing into the year, but about hitting the ground running during organized team activities and carrying that momentum straight into the next season. What stands out most is how self-aware he has become. He understands where he has grown and, just as important, where the gaps still are. That kind of honesty is usually the first step toward real consistency. And consistency is the word that keeps coming up when people inside the building talk about his next leap. Over the course of this season, the improvement was noticeable, but it was not always even from quarter to quarter or game to game. The next challenge is maintaining a steady level of play across an entire contest and across an entire season. That includes raising the completion percentage, avoiding unnecessary negative plays, and knowing when a snap should simply end with a throwaway instead of a sack. There were moments this year where he passed up throws he is fully capable of making. And those moments linger because they hint at how much more is still there. Building chemistry in the off-season matters here because repetition creates trust, and trust turns hesitation into confidence. Every rep before organized team activities carries weight when you are stepping into another year in the same offensive system. One of the most dramatic changes came before the snap. Early in the year, the offense looked rushed at times, but as the season progressed, the command at the line of scrimmage became clear. The checks, the adjustments, and the control all improved, and the pre-snap penalties that plagued the unit early on faded away. By the time the postseason arrived, the difference from week one was striking. He was no longer just running the offense, he was owning it. That kind of growth typically takes years, yet it happened over the course of a single season, which says a lot about both his preparation and his understanding of the system. Decision-making after the snap followed a similar path, for the most part. His eyes were in the right place and the reads were sound. There were still moments where supreme arm talent tempted him into trying to fit the ball into impossible windows, and occasionally that confidence backfired. Those plays stand out because they are the exception, not the rule. The deep ball, which had been a major issue the previous year, became a real weapon. What was once near the bottom of the league turned into well above average production, creating explosive plays and stretching defenses vertically. That downfield accuracy changed how opponents had to defend the Bears and opened up space everywhere else. Another massive leap came in sack avoidance. A year ago, pressure often turned into losses, but this season told a very different story. The rate at which pressures became sacks dropped dramatically, and the total number of times he was taken down nearly collapsed in half. The offensive line deserves credit for improvement, but the quarterback himself was far better at recognizing danger, sliding within the pocket, and getting rid of the ball. Those small movements and quick decisions added up over time and kept the offense on schedule far more often than in the past. Leadership also became a defining part of his season. Early on, he talked about listening, learning, and earning trust. As the months went by, that trust was clearly established. Teammates responded to him, and he responded by holding them to a higher standard during games. That evolution matters, especially for a quarterback taken at the very top of the draft. The jump from a talented player to the emotional center of the locker room is not automatic, but it is necessary, and it is a jump he began to make this year. The discussion naturally turns to the difference between flashes and dominance. The talent is undeniable, and the flashes have been spectacular, but true stars separate themselves through consistency. That is the bar now. Footwork and accuracy sit at the center of that pursuit because they influence everything else. Clean feet lead to clean throws, and clean throws turn good decisions into great results. If those areas tighten up, the ceiling rises quickly, and the idea of a superstar no longer feels theoretical, it feels inevitable, provided the work continues. That perspective also shaped the way he addressed the overtime interception that ended the season. He explained it as a miscommunication, a moment where coverage recognition led him to trust that the route would flatten out toward the sideline. From his view, the space was there, and the throw was made to a spot rather than to a player. It was a calculated decision rooted in reading leverage and trusting a receiver to see the field the same way. The result did not go his way, and the defense made a great play, but the process behind it reflected growth. It showed a quarterback willing to trust his preparation and his teammates in the biggest moment. That trust cuts both ways. Sometimes it leads to game-winning drives, and sometimes it becomes a painful lesson. In this case, it was a rep that will stay with him in a different situation. Maybe the ball is checked down or thrown away. In that moment, he believed in the look he saw and acted on it. That willingness to own the decision rather than deflect blame speaks to his maturity. It also highlights how thin the margins are at this level, where a single play can define an entire season. When he spoke about the year as a whole, the gratitude felt genuine. There was pride in the locker room, appreciation for the city, and respect for the coaches and teammates who poured everything into the season. That connection with Chicago has grown steadily, and it shows. The city responded to his play, his competitiveness, and his late-game moments. Rallying around the belief that something special is being built, you can feel the shift. The sense that this team has a direction and a face to represent it. That is why the focus heading forward is so clear. The foundation is in place, the system is familiar, and the expectations are higher. The challenge now is sustaining focus from the first snap to the final whistle every single week, tightening the smallest details and letting consistency turn potential into production. The progress from year one to year two is real, and the next jump is the one that defines careers. The attention then shifts to the receivers, starting with a young wideout who did not shy away from accountability when the season ended. He spoke openly about the responsibility he feels to be a catalyst for the offense, and admitted that he did not reach that standard consistently enough. That level of self-reflection matters, especially for a player with his physical tools. The ability is obvious when you watch the route running, the size at the catch point, and the potential to win in traffic. What held him back this year was not talent, but timing, health, and execution in key moments that changed the flow of games. Early in the season, there was a stretch where it looked like everything was lining up for a breakout year. He was separating, attacking defenders, and making plays that hinted at elite upside. Then a few mistakes crept in, confidence wavered, and the foot injury altered his rhythm. Missing time only made it harder to regain momentum, and even after returning, the injury lingered in ways that affected his explosiveness. Still, he fought through it, including playing deep into the postseason on a compromised foot. That toughness earned respect, even as he acknowledged that certain drops, especially near the goal line, simply cannot happen at this level. The reality is that consistency defines great receivers just as much as quarterbacks. When opportunities come in high-leverage moments, they have to be converted. He knows that, and he said as much. The encouraging part is that the skill set has not disappeared. Contested catchability can return with confidence and health, and route precision tends to sharpen with repetition. If he and the quarterback spend real time together in the off-season, working through timing and trust, both players stand to benefit. Cleaner execution on the outside makes life easier for everyone, and it turns good throws into game-changing plays. The offensive line also deserves its share of the spotlight, particularly the right tackle who quietly put together an outstanding season, now eligible for a contract extension. He made it clear that he would love to remain with the team for his entire career. That sentiment aligns with his play on the field each year. His progression has been clear, moving from a solid rookie season to a noticeable leap forward, and then to a year that placed him among the best at his position. In the running game, his power and movement stand out, and as a pass protector, his growth has been just as impressive. What makes his season even more remarkable is the context. He played through significant pain, missing almost no time despite serious issues that would sideline many players. Nearly every snap featured his presence, and that durability matters when evaluating long-term value. In a league where elite tackles command premium contracts, the cost of keeping him will not be cheap. But that is the reality of doing business when you identify a foundational player. With smart structuring, the team can manage the cap while rewarding performance. And locking him in would provide stability on an offensive line that has taken real steps forward. On the defensive side, the conversation becomes more complicated. One of the most emotional voices after the loss belonged to a safety who understands how uncertain the future can be in this league. He spoke about soaking in the moment, acknowledging that it could be his last time wearing the uniform. That uncertainty does not erase what he delivered on the field, especially in the final game. He was everywhere, flying to the ball, finishing tackles, and making plays that kept the defense alive for stretches. He looked like the best defensive player on the field, impacting the game in multiple ways on consecutive snaps. That performance serves as both a reminder of his value and a preview of the tough decisions ahead. The secondary has several moving parts. With contracts expiring and younger players needing opportunities, you cannot keep everyone. And prioritizing one player often means moving on from another. Speed has become an increasing emphasis, particularly against offenses loaded with explosive receivers, who can stretch the field horizontally and vertically. While the defense held up well in certain matchups, there were moments throughout the season where a lack of speed showed up late in games. Veteran leadership also factors into the equation, especially when evaluating another safety who delivered an exceptional year. His production speaks for itself, from ball-hawking plays to steady tackling in space. Beyond the statistics, his presence brought a sense of calm and professionalism to the back end. He has made it clear that he values the direction of the team and believes the quarterback position gives the organization something rare and attractive. That belief matters when considering how players view the future of the franchise. As the off-season approaches, the balance between youth, experience, speed, and cost will define the decisions in the secondary. Keeping the unit competitive while continuing to evolve is not simple. What is clear is that the team now feels closer than it has in years. There is a quarterback to build around, young talent learning from mistakes, and veterans setting standards. The disappointment of the loss still lingers, but so does the sense that these moments are shaping something bigger. Each lesson, each hard conversation, and each tough decision feeds into what comes next. And the foundation being laid suggests that the next chapter could look very different from the past. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. What began as a tense sideline moment has quickly grown into one of the loudest whispers around the league, and it centers on Bears head coach Ben Johnson and a fractured relationship with one of his starters. Multiple sources close to the locker room describe a heated confrontation that went far beyond the usual competitive exchange, raising serious doubts about whether the player will wear the uniform again under Johnson's command. According to those familiar with the situation, the disagreement erupted after internal frustrations boiled over, with voices raised and teammates forced to step in to cool things down. The clash reportedly struck a nerve with Johnson, who has built his reputation on discipline, structure, and collective accountability. One source went as far as to quote the coach in stark terms behind closed doors: "He doesn't come back anymore." While the team has not confirmed any disciplinary action, the language alone has fueled speculation that this was not a momentary lapse, but a breaking point around the facility. The mood is described as uneasy. Players are said to be choosing their words carefully, aware that the coaching staff is closely watching how the locker room responds. Some believe Johnson is sending a message that no role, no matter how important, outweighs adherence to his standards. Others wonder if emotions simply ran hot in a high-pressure environment and whether cooler heads might eventually prevail. Front office observers are also paying attention, as any permanent split could ripple into roster decisions and future planning. For now, everything remains officially unresolved, but the silence itself speaks volumes. Until clarity emerges, the rumor mill will keep spinning, with one question hanging heavily in the air: was this just a fierce argument, or the end of a chapter for a once trusted starter in Chicago? That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.